Episode 29, Social Credit and Christianity. We are sometimes told that Christianity is a religion that is exclusively concerned with the transcendental, i.e., with the four last things: death, judgment, heaven and hell. But what if that isn't true? According to both the social credit philosophy of Major C.H. Douglas, not to be confused with Chinese social credit, and the teachings of the Church, true Christianity, while retaining this ultimate reference to the world to come, is essentially incarnational in nature. The second doctrine of Christianity is the doctrine of the Incarnation. Jesus Christ, the second person of the Trinity, took on human nature and became man. And the Word was made flesh and dwelt amongst us. Accordingly, it is part of the mission of Christ and of His Church to elevate the created world, to transform it, to restore it, to bring the world back into harmony with the divine. This is achieved primarily through the metanoia, moral conversion, and spiritual rebirth of the individual human being. But it also includes the remaking of institutions, of laws, and of society itself. For the institutions and laws under which we live, move, and have our being are either in conformity with the Word, conceived of as the natural law, or what Douglas called the canon, or else they deviate from that law and can even stand in flagrant violation of it. If we want the truth of the natural law, of the divine blueprint, to find its concrete embodiment in the real world, we must discover that law and then obey it and apply it through appropriate mechanisms. The reward for doing so is the enjoyment of the fullness of being. As it says in the Gospel, the truth shall make you free. So how do we arrange financial and economic matters so that the Word might become flesh in these dimensions of our social life? Simple. We must base the economy on an honest financial system. Such a system would accurately reflect our potential to create wealth as well as the flow of actual wealth. The provision of accurate information would then allow the economy to function effectively, efficiently, and fairly in fulfillment of its true purpose. This is the promise of a Douglas social credit monetary reform. The coming of a kingdom of increasing abundance, security, freedom, and leisure, via the application of Christian principles to economic life. Poverty in the midst of plenty, civility in place of freedom, misdirection, instability, waste, and sabotage would all fall away. This would make it a lot easier to fulfill the gospel injunctions to feed the hungry, clothe the naked, care for the sick, and so forth. Now, at this stage, social creditors might be accused of attempting to immanentize the eschaton, of trying to create heaven on earth by purely human means. Not so. We are not aiming to achieve a mathematically perfect world through the implementation of Douglas social credit, but merely a healthy world, a more functional world. It is a strict Christian obligation to hunger and thirst for this type of righteousness also. Indeed, the gospel makes it clear that it is, above all, the realm of finance that must be brought under the law of God. For if Satan is the prince of this world, it is very largely through the oligarchic financial system that he rules. Consider the following references to the money question in the New Testament. 1. In the Sermon on the Mount, Christ highlights an inescapable choice. We cannot serve both God and mammon. We will invariably love the one and hate the other. This is true not only for individuals, but for society and its systems. The current financial system enthrones mammon as society's god, and the result is dishonesty, injustice, and dysfunction. Douglas social credit, by making finance honest, seeks to relieve us of the injustice and the dysfunction so that we might be free to serve God instead. 2. To underscore the centrality of the money question by means of concrete actions. Christ's only act of recorded violence was throwing the money changers out of the temple after his triumphal arrival in Jerusalem on Palm Sunday. A few days later, after Judas's betrayal was secured in exchange for 30 pieces of silver, he was crucified for it. 3. St. Paul sums up the message of Christianity with respect to money when he writes, "The love of money is the root of all evil." Well, just consider, we have a whole economic and social order, a whole civilization in fact, which is based on the love of money. Is it any wonder that things are falling apart and that the center cannot hold? By putting money in its proper place as a servant, by making finance structurally honest, social credit turns out to be the single greatest secular force in favor of practical Christianity. While social credit is necessary for the full realization of a Christian social order, it is not necessary, of course, to be a believing or practicing Christian in order to be a social creditor. Social credit is based on natural reason and natural experience and is thereby accessible to all. Indeed, Douglas did not start out with his examination of the economy from a Christian lens, but from an engineering lens. It was only after the fact that he drew the vital connection between social credit and Christianity. This animated series was sponsored by the Clifford Hugh Douglas Institute for the Study and Promotion of Social Credit. For more information on Douglas Social Credit, please visit socred.org or socialcredit.com.au. Be sure to like this video and please subscribe to our channel.